The State of Crypto is presented by Tron, connecting the world to the power of cryptocurrency.
Triple header in the courts today as FTX, Genesis, and Celsius bankruptcy hearings are scheduled for today. So joining us now to discuss is CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk's mandatory read. It's not even just it's a mandatory read. State of Crypto newsletter. Yes. Good morning. Happy Monday, Nick.
Good morning. As you said, it's going to be a busy day.
It is going to be a busy day. But, there's this one curious thing. God, FTX wants politicians who gave money, who got money from Sam Bankman-Fried, the former CEO of FTX, founder of FTX. They're like, FTX now wants, guys, give it back, right? Is that what they're basically saying? Come on, give it back. Give it back. Like he was just spending money.
$95 million. Just give it back.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine? Are politicians really gonna do this?
Yeah. So, longtime readers might remember last month when CoinDesk published the results of a pretty exhaustive investigation into the donations made by FTX executives, finding that 196, so nearly 1 in 3, members of the House and Senate had received money from one or another of FTX executives. And at the time, CoinDesk spoke to some attorneys who were, kind of following this, as well as the offices of some of these lawmakers. And we've actually, we've seen this coming. We've known this was coming. Some lawmakers tried donating the funds that they received to charity, but that actually doesn't absolve them of the responsibility here. We reported last month that this was going to happen, that FTX was going to ask for the funds back, and if FTX itself hadn't, the DOJ was likely to indicate that needed to happen. So this is kind of the next step, the next logical step that FTX has taken. And as our colleague Danny Nelson reported yesterday, FTX is now giving these lawmakers until the end of February to return these funds.
Well, that's the thing. If they've already given away those funds to charities, how are they going to get that back, or are they just going to have to pay out of pocket?
They might just have to pay out of pocket. Either they have to ask it back, or ask for the funds back from the charities themselves, or they're going to have to pay out of pocket. Basically, what happened is because these funds belong to FTX's creditors, according to the paperwork and all that, then that's where the funds need to go back to ultimately. And so these funds are going to be considered part of the FTX estate. And so, one of the arguments is going to be that the lawmakers shouldn't have donated these funds to charity because they weren't their funds to donate.
Yeah. It's like if you take stolen goods and give it away.
And this comes as Sam Bankman-Fried's Emergent Fidelity Technologies also filed for bankruptcy. Can you explain the significance and what's going on there?
Yeah, so Emergent Fidelity was the company that Sam Bankman-Fried set up alongside one of his co-workers at FTX. This was the entity that held the Robinhood shares that Sam Bankman-Fried bought. So the assets that they had really were the Robinhood shares and something like $20 million or so in cash. And the company filed for bankruptcy on Friday, saying it has less than 50 creditors and checking off the boxes for somewhere between $500 million and $1 billion, both in assets and in liabilities. So, we don't know a lot about what exactly the company owes, but it seems to have been set up largely for the purpose of holding on to these Robinhood shares that, were in turn this huge thing that BlockFi laid claim to, FTX laid claim to, that Sam Bankman-Fried himself laid claim to. So I think right now what happened is the U.S. Department of Justice is in the process of confiscating these shares, and they'll probably end up as an asset for one of these bankruptcy estates. I think it's looking like FTX, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But it's looking like it's going to be an asset for one of these bankruptcy estates to sell off and put the funds into the pool for when they ultimately have to repay creditors.
So as I mentioned at the beginning, the triple header in the bankruptcy courts, what else can we expect from FTX, but also from Celsius and Genesis?
Yeah, so the FTX hearing starts in a little under 10 minutes from now, I believe. It's at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. This one's going to be talking about the appointment of a examiner of a neutral third party. CoinDesk obviously is going to be watching all three of these bankruptcy hearings, so expect updates on that one. Genesis, I believe, is just having a status hearing. Genesis, of course, which is owned by CoinDesk parent company Digital Currency Group, filed for bankruptcy last month, or at least part of it filed for bankruptcy. And they've already had the day one hearing. I think this is just going to be, where you're in the process of getting all these, documents and things together. And then Celsius is having a bankruptcy hearing. I actually am not 100% sure what's going to, be discussed in this one. We do know that Celsius is getting close to, trying to get bids for its assets. That's happening later this week. So I imagine that's going to come up. That'll be one of the issues at hand that might get discussed this week or today.